can tell you this, it didn't come knocking on my door. It didn't arrive one day and stay. It came in waves. So there were times when I felt that I had come to acceptance, and then it seemed to disappear. And then something else would happen. Usually I'd have some success. I'd start to feel as if I had found my way, and I'd feel more accepting. But then it would disappear again, perhaps because I saw another child who was the same age as my daughter and was developing at a much faster pace, or the gap between my daughter's development and her typically developing peers began to broaden even more, and so that acceptance would disappear. I think for me, it was when I surrendered to the fact that her autism was for life, that it wasn't going to go away. I had early hopes that somehow we would find a cure, or that everything that we were doing would make her autism go away. And once I began to see that that wasn't going to happen, and I changed my goal of getting rid of autism to trying to help her as best she could, given that she does have autism, it allowed me to be more accepting of the unknowns. And the unknowns, I think, were what was keeping me from being more accepting of the diagnosis, because it's really hard to know early on just what it is you're accepting. So I think it took years, and it took the help of a lot of people, and it took a change in how I viewed the future and normal, and learning to let go of certain things. But I also know this, that you know it when you have it, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe, except for that when I found it and felt that it really had arrived, it hasn't gone away. I mean, now I know for sure that I'm very accepting of her autism and who she is and whatever the future holds. Not at all. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean stopping trying anything. For me, it was accepting that not only do I not have this all figured out, but no one has this all figured out. And I had to learn to live with the questions instead of chasing all of the answers. I'll never give up hope. I'll never stop trying. I don't try every new thing that I hear about or see on the news or on the internet anymore. I've become a much more discerning consumer of possible therapies and interventions, but that doesn't mean that I don't read. It doesn't mean that I don't still ask questions. It doesn't mean that I get very impatient with science and research that we haven't found answers or figured things out. It certainly doesn't mean that I stop encouraging my child to grow and to learn and to be and do her best. I'll always encourage her to do that, as well as continue to challenge myself to be a better mom and a better helper of moving her towards independence, which all parents ultimately try to do for their kids. First and foremost, I would encourage them to remember that their child is their child, and that if you take away autism, it's still their son, it's still their daughter. And while the focus early on is so much on our child's deficits and what he or she can't do, to never lose sight of what your child can do, and more importantly, who your child is. I offer some other suggestions on paths to acceptance, because there is no one path, no one size fits all that will magically take you from point A to point B. But I have my own experience to draw on, and then experience from working with other families, and I've summarized some of those key points in our blog, so I hope you'll read it.